So thanks for being with us this afternoon. We are going to talk about climate intelligence, but I think the common thread also between Solarmente and Cooltra is that the future is electric. So maybe we can start with talking a bit about how AI fits into this right now, but I also want to talk a little bit about the future a lot if possible, because the way we are using AI now is probably quite limited. So I'm also curious about the big picture and how it can help us make the world more sustainable. And I guess my first question would be for you, Wouter, because when we talked about Solarmente at Mobile World Congress, you were telling me that, of course, there are the solar panels, and that's what your company does. But then there's the AI because of the mismatch between when people use power and when they can store it. So maybe you can start with that.
Good. Can I first say hello to everybody? Good afternoon. Thanks I can speak in English. I think it will be very funny if we start speaking in Castellano. For those that do not know me, my name is Wouter Draijer. Grew up in a very small little village in the middle of nowhere in the Netherlands. Come from a sailor family. Grew up around very big windmills and very big solar farms. Got obsessed with it. Built some companies, sold some companies, came to Barcelona 5 years ago to start Solarmente. And in short, what Solarmente does is we make it very easy for every Spanish business and homeowner to go for solar. And it's everything except traditional. Because everybody here in this room and outside in this world faces the same challenge. And that is not if we can generate enough clean energy. Because, I mean, if you go outside, trust me, I'm burned in 20 minutes. There is enough energy available. But the challenge we all face is to make clean energy available at moments that we actually need it. And there are two moments we use energy. That's in the morning when we wake up, start cooking, make our coffee, watch TV. And when we come home, at that moment where the sun is actually down. We start charging our cars, charging our scooters, cooking, watching TV. But what happened with all that energy that we can generate during the day? And that is what we're solving. I can tell you about that later on, how we transition the energy production and transition that to energy consumption during the night. And we do that with the model that we've built in-house.
Yeah, but there's an element of AI to that, just saying that so we can come back to that. And Timo, what I found interesting when I was chatting with Carmen, who works with you, is that she was telling me you started as a non-technological company, so that was quite a journey.
Yes. Hola, buenas tardes, hi everybody. I'm Timo, 50 years old, since 22 years in Barcelona. I'm the founder and CEO of Cooltra. We're a company by now, we're a company that we've been doing sustainable mobility over 18 years now. We are operational in 8 countries. We invoice 70 million and we are profitable, and we are a team of around 800 people, and we are based in Barcelona with a headquarters, so it's a great pleasure to be here. Me personally, I'm more an entrepreneur. I'm coming from the brick and mortar business. So we started out renting gasoline scooters in a small garage near Sagrada Familia, renting to tourists via a very, very rudimentary webpage and with flyers, etc. And over the years, our business came more and more technological, right? So right now, many of you maybe know the app. With an app, you can rent in various cities in Europe an electric scooter. So we have been progressing, and we have added a lot of technology to the business. You can see it also in terms of headcount. Let's say 10 years ago, we had almost no tech people in the team, and now we have more than 50 people working on data, product, technology. Mm-hmm. So pleasure to be here.
Yeah, just following up with you, because I think you mentioned the app, and I think it's interesting to see, of course, there's a lot of potential to AI, but also the use cases right now. So I think one of the things is to make sure that people park in a proper place. Is that something that you can talk a bit about?
Sure. No, as you can imagine, we have 30,000 vehicles out there in the street, so we have a lot of operational problems. It happens, many things happen to these vehicles 24/7 on the road, no? And one of our concerns, and that's where we apply AI, is the parking topic. No? So we need to assure that people that ride our vehicles park them according to the rules of the cities. No? So we make sure people, that's around 3 years now, we ask when you finalize a ride, when you finish a ride within the app, you take a picture, right? And we upload that picture, and now we are introducing a tool so we can give hints to the user if the parking was done correctly or not. Because the consequence of parking badly has bad consequences for all of us, right? Because the user gets a fine, maybe the motor is towed away. So we have to work proactively to avoid traffic fines, no? And so with the help of data, because we're collecting a lot of data, no, from the vehicle, but also from the user, it can help us, for example, to avoid future traffic fines. It's just an example.
Yeah, but it's a great example because the big picture is also, it means that companies actually won't get banned because cities get angry with bad parking and so on.
That is very important.
I think another angle is also that it's a competitive advantage. So Wouter, in your case, for instance, your competition is also that people can go buy solar panels and install them themselves. But then the added value of technology, maybe you can talk a bit about that.
Yeah. So, by the way, Timo, I've been a user of your platform for at least 6 years.
That's great. Thank you.
For sure, all my friends that ever came to Barcelona were driving on the Cooltra.
That is very nice, yeah.
Having that said, so how do we combine AI with accelerating the Spanish energy transition? So I'm going to explain one example. Let's take one household. One household can install solar. Can install a heat pump, aerothermia, can install a bidirectional EV charger and a battery. But a household itself is not intelligent. Intelligence means communication, learning, and optimizing. So if we can make one household intelligent, we also created a device, or needed to create a device that can communicate with the neighbors. So what if neighbor A is on a holiday, but has all the clean energy solutions in place? What if neighbor B needs energy because it's throwing a party? What if we create a platform that can link these households? But what if we create a platform that can million, not thousands or 10,000, but hundreds of thousands of households? So it's actually the first time I'm showing this. So I won't go too much into detail, but this is a gateway that can connect millions of households that we have onboarded with our platform. And still people think, why should I invest in solar? Like, why should I invest something that is beneficial to me in a couple of years when we have problems to solve on a day-to-day? I need to feed my kids. I need to bring them to school. I need to fill my gasoline car. So we came up with a solution to link this AI device with all the energy assets in a subscription model. So we actually make savings available from day one without initial investment, finance that, and optimize that using AI. So we learn from the agendas of people, their load profiles, their behavior in-house. When do they consume electricity and when not? And we train that model. Every day the model gets better. And right now, from spring to fall, like 95 of our clients is realizing a 100% electricity bill-free house. They're paying zero for the energy. To put it into perspective, so I bought a Tesla. And I can charge the car during the day at negative energy prices. Like the grid is paying me to charge the electric car. And the car has a huge battery. But what if I can take that car to my house and discharge it at very high electricity prices and basically pay for my monthly subscription at Solarmente? So I can actually make money with my energy assets. And that's what this little device does. This is what we're implementing since a couple months actively. So I have a couple 100 households connected right now to our device, and it is actually working better than we expected.
That's great. Maybe you can just quickly explain the ports, because I think there's one for EV and.
Yeah, so it's a mock-up. So otherwise people will steal it. So it's a gateway. So you install this where the energy of the household comes in the house, in the heart and the aorta of the house. But all the energy devices that we sell and install, solar panels, EV chargers, batteries, they're linked to this machine. And we can make these energy devices communicate, but also take actions. what if we can charge the car or a battery when energy prices are super low? Like this gateway can tell the battery, start charging right now. And in the night, we can discharge the battery when prices are super high. And if you do that one day, you maybe make 10 euros, 15 euros. Sounds not like a lot of money, but if you do that for 365 days, 20 years in a row, like it's really start paying off. So that is on a monetary side. So you save money with this, but there's another aspect. And that is an aspect that we do not understand nor see. Because we need twice as much energy every year than we can optimize the grid. It is extremely cost inefficient to optimize an energy network. You cannot just connect thousands of cars and just make sure that the 50-year-old energy grid is working. This solves this locally. So we can make smart communities, energy communities. We can solve a nationwide problem locally at no cost up front today.
One of the things you touched on, I think it's the connection between the individual and the collective, because individually, I think people are starting to understand that they need to take action, be more sustainable, but it's really hard to make the right decision. And whereas AI can help is maybe like outsourcing the way, for instance, that Cooltra manages fleets, because you don't need to take all these decisions at the individual level.
Yeah, no, what we are basically offering, we are a fleet operator, so people pay for mobility on the go, So you pay on a per usage basis. It's something that especially the young customers have learned, also from other sectors, like video on demand or music on demand. You pay per usage. So what we are basically doing, we're purchasing a fleet of electric vehicles, at this moment e-bikes and e-mopeds, and we make them available for people to rent per minute, per day, per year, or even years or months or whatever they want to. So we basically say, instead of having a fixed investment, you're basically paying only on a needs basis. And I think that takes a lot of liabilities from people's shoulder, because if you compare it to a car ownership in a city, you not only have to pay the car, but you have to pay insurance, you have to pay a garage, quite expensive, for example, in the center of Barcelona. So we see it also in a way to democratize mobility, to make it available for more people, and also integrate it with other mobility forms. So it's very normal, that maybe you use a train to get into Barcelona, and then from there you use a bus, but then the last mile you can use a micromobility vehicle from Cooltra, for example. So there's a huge connection. What we do see is car ownership or private vehicle ownership is going down tremendously. And the city councils also help, because more and more the car usage is banned. More and more infrastructure for e-bikes is done. So let's say the politicians try also to create car-free cities.
But taking a step back, I think it's really interesting that both Solarmente and Cooltra, they take away that part of the decision where you're like, that's kind of expensive, should I do that? And then they help you do the right thing because there is no upfront cost. And then there's also the part of you just sit back and let someone else do the optimizing, right? That's the way it works with the virtual battery, maybe.
Yeah. So in order to make this work, like no upfront cost and direct savings, we thought if we speak with a potential client, a lead, this client or lead should have zero opportunities to say, no, I'm not going to do it. I mean, I come from a country where 1 out of 3 households has solar. It's almost like weird when you do not have solar. It's almost an insult. Like you do not believe in climate change or something. Sorry, there still happens. So what we decided is to sell solar subscription. Solarmente pays for it. Takes away all the financial risk. And if you want to stop, you can at zero cost. Like we take it away. You can try it out. And Solarmente will install a money printing machine for free and to try that. If you don't like it, if you don't like the free money printing machine on your roof, okay, fuck it, we take it away. So right now we became so bold in trying this out that people actually start thinking, I actually like it. If there's no risk, why shouldn't I take it? And another thing that worked really well with us is also success from Cooltra, if I'm not mistaken, the referral platform. Like try it out with a friend, and I get you 20 euros of credits, or I can give you 3 months of free solar energy. So we developed a product with Y Combinator, with the first product owner of Airbnb, Gustav, how to build the most kick-ass referral platform in the whole world. So right now, 90% of our revenue comes actually from extremely happy clients, ambassadors, and partners. Mm-hmm. Why am I saying that? I'm 100% sure that you or your parents do not have solar and live in a very nice area outside Barcelona. So if you know people, we'll pay you 900 euros cash if you bring in a new lead. So there's only wins and no risk. And right now we are scaling organically, hacking our growth by doing introductions and providing our product for free. Mm-hmm. Pretty cool.
Yeah, you mentioned Y Combinator, and of course, I mean, I watch every demo day, every tech journalist, and I'm really impressed by the amount of AI that we see in every batch, and especially the latest ones. And I was wondering, in your operations, how do you see AI facilitating what you do, maybe for your team? I mean, you have quite a large team by now, you mentioned.
Yes. No, for us, in our profit and loss account, we have a lot of personnel, no? So we have a lot of people changing the battery, repairing the motors, no? And so there's a lot of intelligence that we could add to that network in order to optimize the shifts, no? So people have to identify in the right moment when there's a motor which has not a full battery, no? So a person of my team has to go and change the battery and bring it to a charging hub, no? So this is there we use a lot of machine learning in order to optimize the route. It's a typical operations problem, no, to optimize the route for drivers. Yeah. And little by little. Nevertheless, there are always exceptions to the rules, no? So it's not that we can fully rely on technology, because it's very, very important to also make sure the human aspect of it is covered, no? Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, it's in a company, it's mainly people management, no? So it's 90% of my job, no? To manage the people and motivate them, that they feel happy and satisfied with their day-to-day job.
Mm-hmm. But not to play devil's advocate, but in a way, I sometimes can help prepare for the cases that don't happen really often. For instance, I was talking to a company that does synthetic data, and they do it for car accidents and things like that don't happen really often, and then you can start preventing those scenarios. Yes. Yeah. Do you know if you use any synthetic data in-house?
Yeah, for us, the accident problem is a challenge, because we want to obviously bring accidents to zero, no? So there's a lot of things. We have, for example, projects where we install cameras on motors in order to get more data. Nevertheless, technology is not yet so much developed. So it's really like a day-to-day improvement, no? And trying projects. We do a lot of partnering as a company. So if there's a smaller startup that brings a new technology to us, we do a pilot and we try out how it's if it's cost efficient or not. So we are very, very open. For us, the partnering model is something that we really, really try a lot, no? Because it has given us a lot of benefits in all aspects, no? In operations, in finance, etc. Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned you have a lot of data, but for Solarmente, I mean, you're newer, so how is it when you don't have that much data? What do you use to be able to train your AI? Or
so there are basically two sets of input. One is, how is the client behaving? When is a client using energy? Mm-hmm. And we do have standard load profiles, so it's very easy for us to start. I mean, when the sun shines, you can use already the energy. So we have a very big win by just starting with it. The other set of data that is more an accelerator on our success is that we can forecast the two things. One is the energy prices of the next day, because bigger players have to buy their energy, so and you know what the price of energy will be. And another layer that we added is it's quite exciting, is that we know what the weather is going to do the next day. Solar panels called solar panels because they work on sun. So we know the day after, when there's a lot of sun available, we can discharge all the battery capacity that we have at a very high electricity price and charge it during the day at a very low electricity price. So data we use is from households, like how do they behave, but also what is the energy market actually doing? If we combine these two, we can create energy bills that are getting close to €0 on a monthly basis. And one thing we all have in common in this room is that nobody likes to pay facturas. And if we can make that as cheap as possible, like we are friends with everybody.
Just to make sure I understand correctly, do you also use like weather predictions in part of your...
Yeah. So we bought the license to buy, sell and distribute energy. So we are like, for those that know it, an Olaluz or an Endesa or Iberdrola, but then just only for our clients. And yes, we can do that. So when we know there's a very sunny day coming up, we make sure that we have no battery capacity, at least no useful battery capacity left. So we can charge that in the morning at a very favorable price. And I mean, a human being can do that. You can look at the weather. Maybe we should charge the batteries right now or unplug. But I mean, that's the capacity of one single person. But this little device can basically do the work for 1 million people in a split of a second. Automated and a factor 100 times better than if I was the one controlling all the buttons.
And in terms of fleet management, I mean, I'm sure weather has a huge influence also on whether people are going to use electric scooters on one day and not the other. Do you use AI for that? Or?
For weather predictions?
Yeah, I mean, to include weather prediction into
what you do. Good thing is in Spain, 300 sunny days, that's very favorable for all. No, weather for us is not because... based on weather, we couldn't take any different business decisions. So we have always to have the fleet as available as possible. It would be more on demand forecast, right? Yes. So we need to understand when there is a lot of demand in terms of hours, in terms of days. It's over the year, it's very seasonal. So yes, that is more important than, let's say, the weather of the next day. So, but we have to dimension our fleet according to the needs in each period. And so, for example, as you can imagine, in the time frame between 7:30 and 9:30 in the morning, we have a lot more demand than, let's say, at 12 during the day. So that is something that we are trying to dimension. And we work with heat maps. For us, geolocalized info is very important because we need to know where are people opening the app and they don't find a scooter close. So we're creating bonus areas so people can leave motors in bonus areas. They get a bonus. We put a little star on vehicles that have been parked for many hours so people can get a bonus, so an incentive in order to use the motor and move it for us. So these things are happening. Is it super sophisticated yet? No, honestly, but we are taking steps,
Yeah, I mean, it's also, I think one of the things we need to convey about AI is that it's not quite there yet. So we're also talking about the future and about potential. But of course, I mean, mixing it up with incentives is a powerful way to help people, again, make intelligent decisions because it's a form of nudge.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I was also wondering, I mean, having operated the company for many years, it gives you that sense of maybe that you have data that's helps you find seasonal trends that wouldn't be possible if you only had data on 1 year. Right?
Yeah, no, that is true. And nevertheless, if you look at our history of Cooltra, there's basically half of the time 9 years without technology. So it's really when we started to share the mopeds, implementing an IoT solution, a cloud box on the vehicle to operate it with the app, when we also started to get user data and vehicle data. So that's something. For example, data department is probably 3 years old. So this is how it started. Is it growing? Yes. And we are winning a lot of intelligence. And for us, for example, market intelligence is very important. How do our competitors behave? What are their prices? What are their discount schemes? So that is really important. It's whenever there's a really competitive market, look at hotels or airlines, there's a lot of business intelligence in watching also competitors. What's their fleet size? Customer behavior. That's really, really important.
Also to decide which companies to acquire, right?
That can happen, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I was wondering, because Wouter, you mentioned some things are obvious, like we all kind of sense when people use energy of their routine, but were there any surprises in the data that you're like, oh yeah, we never had realized that on Wednesdays people tend to be home, or things like that? Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No, because I like the question. I think knowing there are 7 days in the week, we were most surprised by the increase in energy demand on a Sunday night. It's probably when family comes together here in the area, when restaurants are cooking most. The energy that people use on a Sunday afternoon and night was significantly higher than we thought. There's one other thing I'd like to add to what you said, and how to use AI and how we use AI, because Cooltra and Solarmente are both very operationally intensive companies. Right? We manage assets. Investors do not like assets, and the client's paying for a solution that basically always have to work. So what we've seen so we've built a tool to analyze and forecast maintenance services based on sandstorms. If we have a sandstorm in the beginning of the year, probably the fleet needs to be cleaned, and in Solamente's case, the panels need to be cleaned, because the panel does not work when it's covered with sand. So using this, not only weather forecast, but also know when we have an increase possibility of sandstorms, we need our maintenance fleet to be up and running and only just make sure they are doing their maintenance. So we use, since we plan months ahead, we make sure that teams are available at moments when we expect, okay, we need a little bit of extra maintenance.
But I mean, you raised money and you're going to raise more. You mentioned that investors are not too fond of that hardware component, but does that give them some sort of peace of mind that you mentioned, okay, we have to figure it out, and also, I mean, you're financing it in other ways. But.
That's a fair question. So we have a model that's everything except standard. So we raise capital, millions, to build a technology that is a factor 100 times stronger than Olaluz and name other any solar provider. So we nail that. But investors do not want you to buy solar panels with equity money, with knowledge money, smart money. So we set up an SPV, a special purpose vehicle, a fund that pays for the solar panels, finances it, and buy a 20-year contract. By the way, we raised 58 million in total. Not sure if you guys followed the news recently, but the actor Leonardo DiCaprio invested in us a couple months ago.
Yeah, that was hard to miss. It was all over the news.
Yeah, we were everywhere. But the reason why we choose him, so I sent him a message that, Leo, Spain is a freaking big problem, and they're limited action takers. We have a solution, and this is the impact for you and for us. And in 2 minutes, we got a message back, said, yes, Wouter, we're interested. Closed the deal, flew to Hollywood, get together for a couple of days with DiCaprio, and now he's our ambassador and investor for the coming 3 years.
Mm-hmm. That's fantastic. And maybe expanding a bit the discussion, do you think that investors are spending too much time investing in AI software companies and not enough in climate, or are you fine with the balance with that?
Well, I would say in general, capital is quite smart. So investors know where to put their money. No, it's just about preferences. No, maybe Mr. DiCaprio has a very strong preference, no, to support solar energy AI, no. So especially if we talk about private investors, they have very subjective criteria to invest, no. So, sure. And then we have more, let's say, professional investors like VC funds or private equity. They follow really strong investment criteria. So they have a very strong allocation on a sector or on a phase inside a business. But in general, yes, money goes the right way. There's this really strong trend in the last 3-4 years, which is very positive, no? That we have more and more impact investments, no? And my personal impression is often that it doesn't seem like it, but there's more capital available than good projects.
Oh,
so this is
interesting.
So it's a huge chance for all of us to create good projects, because if the project is good, you will always have an investor. It's similar if you're an exceptional tennis player or football player, you will always find a club that sponsors you, that trains you. So building good projects, there will always be a capital available. And like Wouter explained, there are so many different ways, no? It's not only equity. There are so many government or let's say public available funds, no? Especially for green tech or for climate tech startups. So if you try, there's definitely great opportunities, huh? to start up businesses.
That's quite a contrarian take, but that's encouraging, I guess, for people who want to start a business in Europe. But
I mean, if this guy raised 58, you guys can do it, no? No?
There's a Dutch guy that likes stop loss.
Doesn't even speak Spanish, so.
No, but I don't think we should talk too much about funding, but what I've learned in raising money is that it's extremely important that you select the right investors and partners, because there's a lot of capital available, but that capital is available when you actually like need it on the spot and there's traction. Like every investor wants to enter a company that has or traction or impact or is growing. But the mistake many founders make is to get the first offer they get at a lower valuation when there is other money available or capital available that can also help you with the next round. Because with the idea to build a healthy, sustainable and successful company, quick money is available. Like there are cowboys in the industry that say, hey, here's 100K or here's 500K. But when you are building a company in the future, make sure you never take the first offer and see if there's one offer, there's 10 others you can get. Yeah. Just make sure that you have the right partners.
I also think, it was mentioned yesterday in the different context of mental health that if investors don't understand that you need to take care of yourself, maybe you give it a pass. But this also made me think of how you mentioned it's a journey. And I think, especially with public funding, companies don't always realize that you need to think of it as a journey, and you need to meet certain milestones if you don't want to fall into what's called the valley of death. A colleague of mine wrote about that recently, and actually it's particularly strong for climate tech companies because you really need to prove that you have something that can work. I was wondering if you saw any companies, especially, you ended up buying some companies, so did you see some of the mistakes that companies make in your space?
We all commit so many mistakes, no? It's just if you can survive them, that's important, no? And doing changes really quickly in case you do an error is definitely something. Another thing is anticipation, so always make sure you have enough cash on the account for a few months, no? If things don't run, anticipate in cutting costs when you see things don't turn out. So there's a lot of things you can do. The problem is there's a lot of, oftentimes I find with founders there is a lot of optimism, which is really good, no? But it can be also the twist side, no, of the coin, no? That you're too over optimistic and you don't see the downsides, no? So it's always also very important for us, no? Managing companies with people to always manage the downside risk in case things don't happen as they do. No, so in my industry, for example, there were a lot of people raising huge amounts of money, 400 million, 500 million euros, and now they are not surviving. So you have to be always very responsible, because it's not our money; it's money from investors that trusted in us, and so we have to be really responsible with.
I actually read recently about a company that uses AI to help you manage your cash flow. So
That's
I really suspect that we're going to see more companies getting that types of
Yes.
warnings. Like, be
That
careful, we're starting to run out of money here.
That sounds great. The problem about all these tools is how you connect them with the other architecture, with your ERP or your internal systems. No, so that's something that I find difficult sometimes. No, there are great tools in the market. Difficult sometimes to connect them, no, to our infrastructure.
Great. Well, I think there are signs that we need to start to wrap up. So I don't know, Wouter, maybe you have one final thought on how people can be more intelligent about the climate journey.
Can I frame it in a way that I hope that there are more pre-entrepreneurs or want to be entrepreneurs in this room?
Hopefully.
And if there's an advice I can give, if I can give some free advice, because building a company is very painful. It is very joyful. It has a very big impact on social life, but the rewards are incredible. My advice would be to people that attend this fair, this talk, and hope and wish to be inspired for maybe the venture they're going to build, is to speak with people that already did it before you, reach out to them, ask them questions, and ask for brutal and hardcore feedback on the model that you're building, because what you have in mind will be pivoted along the way. It will be torn apart and put together back again. But my advice would be, if you want to create that impact, do that, because it is the most incredible journey and roller coaster you will ever enter.
Right, so you can talk to both of them if you want to talk to people who've been there, done that.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.